What's your read of the situation right now? Are Jews in a good place, bad place? Some people say, well, you read the news too much. It seems like it's everywhere, but it's not really. If you live in Wichita or Hawaii, then maybe not so much anti-Semitism, but kind of like getting a global read, taking into account Putin's statements lately. If Israel helps Ukraine, they're going to see a wave of anti-Semitism in Russia, things like that. Where are we on the scale of anti-Semitism? Is it like somewhere between meh and run for the woods? Where do you say we are?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I guess, the context is everything. I'm 31 years old, so I think in my lifetime, we're probably closer to run for the woods than we've been in the last 30 years. To be frank, I think that's my personal perspective. I don't feel that way, because I mostly view anti-Semitism in the larger context of like a lot of the fringe political movements that I think are happening right now and are sometimes exaggerated by the media and my colleagues who work in the industry. I think it's very tied into both, on the right. I think it's sort of like the very fringe nationalists, people who are kind of like, view Jews as being responsible for bringing in all the immigrants and people of color and undermining like the potential for, a Christian state. And, in sort of the Trumpist anti-interventionist right, there's a lot of, why are we giving all this money to Israel and funding them and yada, yada, yada. And then on the left, they share that view with a lot of the Trumpist right, obviously, that, they view Jews through the lens of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and I think conflate all Jews with Israel. And, it's, which is very illustrative of just how irrational the whole thing is, because, I know a lot of Jews and we don't agree on anything, let alone Israeli Palestinian conflicts or, American politics or whatever. And, I will say, I mean, I was living in New York for a long time. I know you had been in New York for many years. Towards the end of my time in New York City, I felt less comfortable, walking to a Shabbat dinner with a yarmulke on probably than I,
Right.
I did it at any other point in my life there. And that was because I heard stories of, stuff happening in the streets. I heard stories of Jew appearing people getting beat up and accosted and spit at for no reason. And
Right.
so that was kind of scary. And then to see it, to see like a cultural icon, somebody like Kanye West, who has such a huge platform, spew the kind of stuff he's spewing, and then, read the comments or the reactions on Twitter or whatever, and see quite clearly that he's got thousands and thousands of people who love him and support him and believe he's speaking some profound truth. That's pretty scary for me. So, I don't know how many of those people actually care enough to act on those feelings versus they
Well,
just,
there's always mass psychosis, so it doesn't really matter if once the if 1,000 people are running, so it's easy to get another 500 to join.